Hello, hi everyone. Hello, I'm Marc here from Happy Pianist. So in a short
Yeah,
while, we
I'm
are going to
I'm
start
Mark
our
too.
live show with our dear guest, Mr. Marc Yu. So we have two Marks here. So we have about a few more minutes, about 2 or 3 more minutes before we start our show officially. So just to let you know that our topic for today is about learning piano. Should you learn for exams or learn for leisure? So Marc will be presenting 6 simple steps to help you with your musical pathway. So you are very stressed, you're not sure should you take up the piano exam route or the leisure route. Then today will give you some clarity on choosing the path that you should work on. So Marc, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm all ready.
Okay, so we still about 2 to 3 more minutes, so you give some time. So if I hope everyone had your dinner ready. If you had your dinner, you can continue watch this talk show hosted by the Happy Pianist. And then today our guest is Mr. Marc Yu.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm very glad that you can join us. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes just chilling out while people stream into our video. So this is kind of our first time, I think, for Mark as well. I know there are two Marks here, so if it gets any confusing, I'm Mark with the C, and the guy who's hosting the Happy Pianist is Mark with the K. So that's our only difference. I think even our shirt color is the same if you're
Okay,
watching the
about
video.
that. Yes. Okay, so if
And
you
so
are
this wasn't
you
planned.
are a piano, you're a piano student or you're learning piano or your choice learning piano, you can get them to join as well. If your friends are piano students as well, or you are a piano teacher, you can come in and share your point of view, or you can key in any questions you have along the way, and then we'll address them accordingly. So this entire broadcast is to talk about learning piano and learn for exams or leisure. So it's a very common question asked by many piano students, especially people who are just starting out. They are not sure what's the difference. Is it okay not to go for exams because most of my friends learn for exams, and can I just learn for leisure? What if I learn for leisure? Can I come back to exams again? Okay, I'm sure Marc, for himself as a piano teacher, you have come across a lot of these kind of questions. People are not sure, and people are wonder if they pick the wrong pathway, can they come back again or not? Okay, so I think these are all the really common questions. So I think Marc put a lot of effort to address all these concerns so that you can have a clear direction. Which one is suitable for you?
I can do a lot of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
I'm
So
open. I'm open to a lot of things actually. So it's even. I mean, just to add on to your point about people who are wanting to learn piano or they feel like they have chosen the wrong pathway, leisure or exams. I would like to also extend this to any learners of music. It doesn't have to be piano. My topic is on learning piano because I'm primarily a piano player, but today's topic touches on a very general thing about leisure versus exam. So this applies to any instrument. So ranging from strings, if you're a violin player, viola, or winds, trumpet, clarinet, oboe, flute, any of the wind instruments, or even vocal singers as well. If any of you happen to know friends from choir or from the band circle or the orchestra circle, you happen to have students or parents with students who are learning music, or even yourselves as adults, some of you who are parents, you may want to be learning music on some instrument other than the piano. You are welcome to join this talk. It's not very piano centric. So because the syllabus for the different instruments are generally the same in terms of components. So what drives these exams are all the same pointers, the same kinds of things that are tested just on different instruments. So like I said, if you all want to call friends from band, from choir, any musical background, feel free to do so as well. So you're more than welcome to join us for today.
Very good, very good. Okay, so in a short while, we are going to go live soon. Okay, it's 8:30. All right. Okay, Hi, welcome everyone. Right now we are on the Happy Pianist talk show. So this is our first ever talk show, and we invited our guest on our talk show, and he is Mr. Marc Yo. So my first guest to talk on about this topic called learning piano. Should learn for exams or learn for leisure? So before we continue further, I need to do a quick sound check. So if anyone who is watching this right now, can you do me a quick favor? If you hear us speaking right now, can you just type in where are you watching from? If you're watching, of course, I'm sure most of us are in Singapore, but you can say your area. Like if you are in Jurong, you type Jurong. You are in Choa Chu Kang, you type Choa Kang. You are in Pasir Ris, type Pasir Ris. Okay.
If any of you are watching from US, feel free to type in that you're from the US as well.
Oh, US must be another time zone, right?
Oh, definitely. But I don't think anyone's awake. It's like 7:30 right now, a.m.
Oh, awesome. We have one from Joo Chiat. Okay, cover the probably around the Marine Parade area. Okay, good. Pasir Ris. Okay, not bad. Okay, Sengkang, Hougang. Good. So all of us, I hope everyone have your dinner ready. So this is a very lighthearted discussion. So don't be so stressed. It's not a debate. There's no right or wrong answers. But we want to share different point of views so you can learn as well. And then maybe you can make a good decision on your own musical pathway. Okay, so if you are ready, you are going to start. So by the way, so Marc, you yourself, where are you watching? Where are you speaking from?
I am speaking from Ang Mo Kio in my own home.
Ang Mo Kio.
So,
okay, so yeah, Ang Mo Kio. Maybe you are, maybe Marc is your neighbor. You're very close to you.
Maybe. There might be people from Ang Mo Kio. We'll see.
All right, so let's get started. So welcome to our talk show again. So this topic is about exams or leisure. So if you want to get more people to know about this topic, we'll be very appreciative if you can share this video on your profile or your fan page or anywhere, because I believe that this is a very common topic. Every student or every music student, regardless of what grade they are, they always have this question: should I continue learning grading, or should I just play for leisure, play for fun already lah? Okay, maybe I don't want to pursue anymore. So if they don't pursue anymore, they will be concerned. Will I lose out on the grading part? What if I don't have this certificate? Can I still go to this school? Can I still apply for this college? So it's a very common topic. That's why we want to get this message out to as many people, especially people who are learning music, regardless you are learning piano, violin, cello, you're choir, you're vocal student, anything. If you are learning music, so this is really a good topic for them to get understand on the pathway for them to go for leisure or go for exams. So be very appreciative of you can share this on our profile to let more people know. Okay. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest for today, Mr. Marc Yo. So Marc, maybe you just start by sharing your background or something about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Marc. So for those of you who just joined us, if you're confused, both of us have a very similar name called Marc. I'm the one with the C, he's the one with the K. So if you don't want to cause any confusion, or you want to ask specifically a question to a specific one of us, just type in our names specifically. It's up to you, okay? So just a little about me. I'm a very recent graduate in the master's program for piano performance. I have just returned home to Singapore not long ago, just in time before they closed the airports because of the virus. So yeah, I just finished my studies in the US in Illinois, and my school is the University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana. And yeah, it was a really great place there, and one of the biggest unfortunate things that I really miss the most is spring. It's a very sad thing that I had to leave just as the weather was getting really, really great as we left winter. And yeah, that's the main the biggest piano thing that I just came out of. And I was also a teacher in secondary schools back in 2013. So I used to teach music as well as English. And it's a very different different area of study and teaching back in MOE, because I was only asked to teach a general music program, which is for lower secondary school students, and most of the content that I teach was keyboard, a little bit of basic keyboard skills, and a bit on how to play around with chords and the functions of different instruments in a band. So it's very different as to what I'm doing now as I teach piano to students privately.
So when you
So
teach a music school, music lessons, it's like how we go through our primary school classes, music lessons, where you have a class of 30, 40 students. Then you teach a recorder, you teach cymbals, you teach music theory, that kind of lesson, is it?
yes, yes and no.
Okay.
In a sense, yes, in a sense that I teach 40 students per class, and it's quite a handful to handle. No is what music teachers teach. I think most of us will, especially in the audience, might agree that, like, oh, music lessons back then was recorder and singing and playing,
Correct,
banging
recorder.
cymbals. But things have changed, and I do not teach recorder, because all of you who have encountered recorder would know how amazingly loud the instrument can go times 40. So it's not my kind of thing. And
Okay.
what I just to share with all of you, the general music syllabus in schools has changed a lot in recent years, and the teacher in charge of this, who is posted to the school and teaching that school's music program, has quite a big autonomy to decide what instrument they want to teach. So
Wow.
it depends on what school you go to and what teacher you get. So I teach keyboard, and I was very blessed in a sense that my school happened to have 40 small digital keyboards for students to play around with. So that was all great.
That's good. That's good.
But other schools may teach different things, like percussion. A lot of them choose a guitar program, and I've even seen digital music as well. And some of them even have composition and even a little bit of research. So yeah, and for me it was all keyboard, and I was thankful that I could make use of what I was pretty good at already, and I didn't need to go through extra training for guitar or switch to something else
Nice.
during my time in MOE.
Okay. So you also mentioned that you are a pianist in SF band. Am I right?
Yes, this is a new posting. I'm about to start soon. Hopefully, once this COVID virus is over and things start to go back to normal, perhaps in phase 2 or phase 3, I would start my new tenure as a pianist of the SF band. This is a new posting, and I'm about to go in there soon. It's exciting.
All right. That's good. That's good. Okay, maybe you share a bit about your teaching experience. So, like I think you have been teaching about 8 years already, and maybe you share a bit what kind of things you teach, then what kind of syllabus, then maybe what kind of genre of music, maybe something about your teaching experience. Yeah.
Okay. I first started off teaching probably just like every other teacher, um, out of grade 8, out of diploma, and pretty much nervous as to what to do, because all of us piano teachers kind of go through it alone, and we rely on our own past experience on what to do as teachers and what to teach as teachers. So I initially started off like that. So I led by what my previous music teacher used to teach me, and I just followed suit, and I did whatever I thought was best. So along the way, I slowly evolved my teaching. I first started off with classical music, and I trained students in teaching the ABRSM syllabus. But along the way, challenges will come here and there, and there were students who opted for Trinity, so I had to read up and do research on how different the Trinity syllabus is, and I even had a few students who requested me to teach them O-level music, so Sec 3, Sec 4 MOE syllabus. And even one of my ex-students a long time ago, where I was requested to teach the international IGCSE
Wow.
music
Okay.
syllabus. So that is from, it's actually quite similar to the MOE music, the old MOE music syllabus, but from the international schools. So
Okay,
that's quite a bit. Yeah.
wow.
So, but right now I customize my lessons a lot based on what my students want. So I can do classical, I can do pop, I can do both. So I'm even now experimenting with some of my students how to do improvisation, how to learn using chords without notes. So yeah, it's very, very customizable.
Oh, very good. It's like you're very versatile, very flexible. You can teach everything. As long as you have a piano, you can teach them how to play, right? Can you say that?
Almost everything. It's still a learning curve. Whatever
That's
it is, yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Mark. Okay, for those who are joining in, okay, maybe I'd like to ask a question for those of you are watching right now. Can you key in the musical instrument that you are currently learning or you are playing? If you are playing piano, you type in piano. You are playing cello, you key in cello. You play violin, you key in violin. You are singer, you put in singer. If you play any other instrument, just key your instrument in the chat box so that we know that you are a musician. Okay, so just key in your whatever instrument you are playing. You see how many musicians are there joining us today. So I think I myself is a violinist lah. So I play the violin lah. So Mark is a pianist. Okay, so we have piano. Just a note, whatever we discuss today is not just about piano. It's music generally, because whatever instrument you are playing, there is always the certification route and then the leisure route. Okay, especially in Singapore, we know that most of us, we want to be certified in a way. We want to have a certificate. Then if you are some level, some people will look up to you and so on. But on the other hand, there are also students who want to learn for fun. So is it a good thing to just learn for fun, or really must you get certified, then you are considered a musician? So this is a common question among a lot of people. So regardless you are what kind of musician, doesn't matter. Today, this topic will be relevant to you. Wow, so you have a lot of pianists today. Very good, very good.
We have one cello and we have choir. So welcome, and I really thank you for joining us.
Okay, good. So you have a lot of musicians over here. So now let's get started. Okay. So Mark, what do you have for us today? Your 6 steps.
Okay, so I'm going to present 6 simple steps. Marc here has already very well introduced my topic for today. And just before I start, I just want to share why I chose this topic. So initially when Marc and I were just talking about, let's host a little video session and talk about something. So he gave me the full authority to choose what I wanted to talk about. So I thought of choosing this as my first topic because it applies to almost anybody who wants to learn music, not even piano. So this is a very big step that a lot of people would take, and I have been asked this quite often. It's the very first step in almost all of my students where they discuss with me whether they want to take the exam route or the leisure route. So yeah, that's the reason why I chose this, because I think it's extremely important and it applies to almost everybody. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to start off with the 6 simple steps to help you with your musical pathway. So first, you are going to see a lot of pronouns like we or you. So when I use these terms, these pronouns, I am referring to anybody. It can be you as a student who is learning music. It can be you as one of the teachers who are teaching many students, if you are logging in and watching this from your home today. Or you could be a parent who is wondering about signing up your kid for music lessons or not, and which route to take. Or you could also be an adult who is interested in learning music. So anybody who is trying to learn music. Okay, so this we applies to whoever wants to learn music. All right, so we have many personal reasons why we want to learn piano or music in general. And before we start to make a decision, we need to understand what to expect from an exam, as well as what to expect when you are learning for leisure. Okay, so these are the two very big things you need to know. Okay, so the first big thing would be my first step. Know what the exam components consist of. So I will only cover two examination boards, ABRSM, which stands for Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, and Trinity College of Music. There are other smaller exam boards, smaller in terms of popularity in Singapore. So I won't really cover those. You can just do a Google search, or you can ask me privately after this presentation. Right. So the main thing, the most famous exam body in music would be ABRSM for all the instruments. You will be tested on 3 exam pieces. Okay, so some of you parents or students may think, oh, it's the 3 songs. If you're not a vocal major, if you're not a voice student, I would argue and say that that's not a song, okay, because there are no lyrics to it, so you call it exam pieces. So basically the repertoire that you play, right? The next thing you have in the component is scales and sight reading, as well as oral. And take note, this oral is AURAL. It means listening. It's not ORAL, which is speaking. There's a difference, all right? So there's basically a listening component in the exam as well. So for Trinity, on the other hand, you have the same 3 pieces, scales. However, you get to choose to any 2 components, sight reading, oral, improvisation, or musical knowledge. Okay, so these are the exam components that you'll be tested on in an exam. So the second step, okay, is to understand what is the purpose of these components of an exam. Okay, the first thing is scales. Scales is basically, to make it very simple, is your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That is the thing that you play on your instrument going up and down. Okay, it's a technical fundamental exercise that is meant to build the foundations of your fingering, okay, or your singing if you're a singer, okay, your finger control and your coordination, okay, or your vocal control if you're a singer. So the focus in scales is mainly on how consistent you can be in terms of your rhythm. So you're not veering, you're not going faster, you're not going slower, you're keeping everything even. Okay, so this rhythmic consistency that is isolated from your volume and expression. So scales only looks at how technical you can be and how precise you can be in general. Okay, the next component is sight reading. It's basically a test where you perform a short and unseen extract. So the examiner will put a short extract in front of you. So you basically have 30 seconds to figure it out. So you play a combination of rhythms and notes, okay, and they expect you to have expression as well. So most of the time, students will tell me that this component is the most difficult one. And it was the most difficult one for me as well when I was learning piano. Okay, so the third thing are your 3 exam pieces. So this is supposedly the most fun one, where you prepare a combination of pieces with different technical and musical demands. So the biggest weightage would be on the exam pieces. Okay, and the final component for the ABRSM examination would be oral. So the oral tests abilities of your musical perception and recognizing musical features by ear. So how this works is the examiner plays you something like certain extracts. They may ask you to count. They may ask you to identify how many beats in a bar are there, what's the time signature. They may ask you, is this piece a happy sounding piece, a sad sounding piece? Basically for you to listen and answer certain questions and how you perceive music. Okay, and the last 2, for Trinity, improvisation, it tests your ability to improvise fluently and coherently. They will give you a little extract and then you're supposed to expand on it. Okay, and musical knowledge, which is Trinity as well, up to grade 5 level. basically examiners will ask you questions about the piece that you played, about your exam pieces. And most of the time, for the lower grades, they're asking you very theory-related things, like what note is this, and what time value is this. Okay, and towards grade 5 in the intermediate level, it may be a bit more oral related as well. Okay, similar to the ABRSM oral questions. Right, so these are the purposes of the different components of the examination requirements.
Okay, so at this stage, maybe I can do a quick survey lah. So those who are watching this Facebook Live right now, right? Can you key in which exam have you taken before? If you've taken ABRSM before, you type in ABRSM. If you've taken Trinity before, you take in Trinity. If you've taken other examination boards, you also can key in as well, so that Marc will understand where you come from, and then maybe you can answer your questions accordingly. So Marc, yourself, which one have you taken, or you taken both?
I've in my early grades, I took ABRSM right up to grade 8. I switched to Trinity when I tried out for my diploma.
Wow, okay. So ABRSM for grade 1 to grade 8, I think that's the most common examination board for most people, because this is what our teacher recommend us most of the time. So that's a standard one. Trinity, yeah, diploma is quite common for Trinity. Oh, that's good. Wow. So most people are familiar with this examination board. Very good, very good. So what else other examination board just now? You mentioned that there is like what IGSE or O level. That one is a different kind of exams lah, I believe.
It's different. If you talk about something that's related to ABRSM and Trinity, the other examination board is LCM, which is London College of Music.
Yeah,
okay, so they have their own
common.
Yeah, they are more recognized in other countries. It's not that LCM is a bad examination board. It's just that so many of us music teachers grew up with ABRSM, and we're just teaching our kids the same thing. So all the examination boards are slightly different, and they look out for different kinds of different areas. So if you just look at the Trinity component versus the ABRSM, it's also slightly different. They try to go a little bit more towards improv, which is a very interesting thing. So I don't know, maybe some teachers choose to teach ABRSM because they are worried that improv might be a very terrifying thing for their students. Okay. That could be a possibility.
I see. Okay, that's good. All right, if you are loving what Marc has shared so far, you can give a thumbs up, or you can click some love. So give some love. Okay, so that's step 1 and step 2 based on the 6 steps. Now let's move on to the next step.
Right, going on to step 3. Okay, after you know what you are facing in an exam, you need to know what all of these mean. Okay, and I would say that this step is one of the more important steps, because step 1 and step 2 can be very easily searched on Google. So I wouldn't say that's something very difficult for you. So know what this means. So think about it. You have components like scales, sight reading, 3 exam pieces. Imagine working on this. You spend, let's say, 10 minutes on each component. You easily occupy the full hour for a lesson. So I would say that I think a lot of piano teachers will agree with me. If you send your students for exams, almost the entire lesson would be filled with training these components to make sure your students are proficient in them. So your lessons are likely to be structured almost solely on these components every week. So take some time to think about that, because that's not what new students will generally think about. So so understanding this, you will realize, or at least people who just start learning piano or music in general, they will realize that training to be decent or even good in your instrument may start to become repetitive, or it may start to become mundane. Okay, and you start to realize, oh, what have I gotten myself into? Why is piano so repetitive? Why is it so boring? Why is it so hard, especially if your sight reading is bad? Okay, so that's where, if you expect piano lessons to be just fun and games every week, this is where your expectation is going to fall short. So that's another thing to think about, because this step is the it explains the biggest discrepancy with why a lot of people stop learning piano, or they fall out of interest in piano, right? Or whatever instrument you're playing. So yeah, I recently, because of this COVID-19 situation, I've seen a lot of ads on Facebook and YouTube. They're advertising very, very amazing things like learn piano in 1 week. Do you want to play Ed Sheeran's Perfect? Master this in a few days if you join our program. And as a teacher, I'm not trying to put down these ads, but I would say that if you want to learn a song in a week, basic song, I think it's possible. But if you want to learn how to be a piano player, to play songs, pieces, multiple types of styles and pieces and everything, you can't learn piano in 1 week. So if you happen to see ads like that, don't quickly conclude the fact that like you can learn piano very easily. It depends on what you want to learn. Okay, if you're talking about such expectations, it's basically the same analogy of like giving a man a fish and you feed him for a day, so if you teach a man how to fish, he can feed himself forever. So it's the same idea. If you're only teaching one song, it's just a song. It doesn't make you an amazing pianist or player or whatnot. Okay, so piano lessons in general, if you are new to this whole idea of learning music, or music lessons may not be what you expect. It may not just be totally fun. It may not be 1 hour of songs. It may not be 1 hour of figuring out history behind a song or a piece. So it is very important that you understand this step, understand what learning piano is about, and therefore set realistic expectations. Okay, so your state of mind and your personal interest is what decides. It's a deciding factor on whether you yourself feel that you want to learn music or not. Okay, because if you're only thinking that I want to learn one song, I want my Iruma, River Flows in You, and that's it. That's not. Then your expectation is just for one song. But if your teacher is training you to be a musician, then you gotta make sure you set those expectations right. Okay, if you only want to learn one song and that's it, at least you let your teacher know, right? So the thing that I underline, a mismatch in expectations will lead you to disliking music lessons and probably learning music itself. So this is a very important slide. So take some time to digest this.
I think that's a very important point, because based on what we experience, right? I mean, as music teachers and happy pianists, we always see a lot of inquiries. Not saying they are not good, but sometimes their expectation may be too high. That means they want to learn a song. Sometimes it's a very difficult song, and they want it to learn within a certain time frame. So as a teacher, so if you understand music, right? So I believe there are many piano teachers that are watching right now. Sometimes the song, not say we don't want to teach. Sometimes it's too high a level for them to learn as a beginner. So I believe there are some ways you can make the student learn really fast. Just focus on that one song. Really drill in to make sure they can play that song. But I think like what you say just now, after the whole thing, correct, they can play that song, but that doesn't make them a piano player lah. I mean, they can only play that song. You pass another song, they cannot play it. They have to restart the whole learning process and start with the foundation again. So is this what you experience as a teacher as well?
Yes, I fully attest to that. I agree wholeheartedly. So I've had a student. This was when I just started out.
Okay.
Song, I think it was River Flows in You or something. Or one of the songs. I can't remember what song it was. It was a famous pop song at the time. So the person wanted to learn really quickly. Like I think he or she wanted to improve like some boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, for whatever reason there was, the because of the rush and the intensity and the pressure I was put in, I started to realize that if I can help this student to learn this song like within like 2 weeks or three weeks minimum. But in order to get there, I have to teach wrong things. Wrong in a sense that music teachers will tell you it's wrong. Why is it wrong? If you look at the sheet music, you look at the score, the shortcut way is to just tell them, okay, the G, the chord G, put your hand here. I put the student's hand on the key. Remember this key. Then after that, go to the C chord, put your hand on this key. Remember the positions. So basically, I am teaching the student to rote learning in such that they just memorize where to put the hands. It's not teaching chord relationships. It's not teaching technique. It's not teaching how to read chords. It's not teaching how to read notes. It's not teaching anything. It's just teaching a student to just basically copying. Yeah, you're right. All right. So it's infuriating as a teacher because you are placed in I think some teachers may attest to this. I don't know, but you'll be placed in a position where you're forced to do something wrong. That's why you start to question your ethos. So that's tough.
Okay, I think of course if there's, we can consider our student like customers lah. Okay, if you say we consider this a business, of course if they want it, they really have a objective to achieve, of course we can help them. But just like what you say that they have to understand lah, whatever we can teach them, there's a limit to go. That means they can only play a song. If they want to go really far, they have to really learn the proper way. Correct?
Yeah. So basically, like anything, there's no shortcut. Unfortunately, in music, there isn't any shortcut.
Okay, good. So that's step 3. And what's next?
Okay, so moving on to step 4, you already know what exam consists of. So it's also good to know what leisure learning consists of. So I have more trouble with explaining leisure because it's so free and it's so customizable to the point that every teacher will teach students for leisure in any possible way based on their own strengths. So it was actually very hard for me to write all of this down, but these are general pointers that I think are consistent and pertinent to learning for leisure. So step 4, how to know what you're doing for leisure. Most students who start learning for leisure, they start because they want to learn a particular song. Okay, I've had multiple students who wanted to learn River Flows in You, Canon in D, Ed Sheeran's Perfect, the greatest hits of the pop genre. So that's where the interest starts. It's not that it's a bad thing. Okay, it's great because there is interest from students, and it's important to know that the lessons are very customizable. Okay, however, this is my opinion. I feel that fundamentals still need to be learned. Okay, so your scales, you need to get your technique right. You need to strengthen your fingers. You need to understand by building muscle memory. Okay, you need oral. Okay, you need to listen, learn how to listen to music. You can't just play and hope for things to be right. Okay, and maybe sight reading. So that depends on like I said, depends on different teachers. Some teachers may not teach notes. They might teach other systems of learning as well. So moving on to the next point, like I said, some students prefer to learn by ear. Okay, some students, they come in already knowing how to read chord symbols, or they want to learn how to read chord symbols because maybe they have a guitar background, for example. Okay, so those are usually more for pop and jazz music. Okay, rather than learning how to sight read notes. Okay, it's a different system of learning. And the next point, I also mentioned this before, that every teacher will teach very, very variedly. No one teacher will teach leisure in a similar manner at all. Okay, so the processes of learning will be very different by the teacher for the student, and thus the outcome for learning can be very, very varied. Okay, varied. By the term varied, I don't mean successful slash unsuccessful. I mean what they learn out of it will be very different. Okay, if let's say we have a control experiment and we have two teachers teach two students the exact same thing for same songs for leisure, their style of teaching is still going to be very different. So the outcome will still be very different.
Okay, I have a question for you. Okay, just now you mentioned about students learning to play by ear. Like they don't want to read notes, they want to learn by ear. So this is a very upfront question. I think I never asked you this before. So since you're on this topic, I believe a lot of people are thinking about this as well. So I received this kind of inquiries lah. They say that they are beginner students. They want to learn play by ear because they hate reading notes. So they have this kind of request because they say, learn by ear, or rather some music schools say, if you don't like to read notes, like the tauge, the crotchets, all this, you learn by ear. Then you don't need to read music scores. So they come with this kind of impression that really, I can escape this note reading kind of skills already. Because note reading is like every musician has to go through read music notes So they heard about play by ear, no. So based as a teacher yourself so there are students who come to you with this kind of request. They say, I'm a beginner. I mean, not that they are very experienced or what. They are pure beginners, but they really want to start by learning play by ear, and with the objective of not reading notes. Do you think it's possible?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
Well, my opinion is not universal among teachers, but I think it's possible because music is not about notes. The notes was a system. Think about language. If you are you don't need English to communicate. You don't even need language to communicate. Like emotions, you don't need language to tell people that you're angry, for example, right? So there are many ways to express things. The language is just a man-made system that is invented by men to further articulate themselves. Okay, so music, learning by notes versus learning by ear, they are two different systems. It's basically like two different languages. Think of it that way. So yeah, it's learning by notes is tough, but I would say learning by ear is also tough. So if it's a different set of difficulty, and I would say if you are not careful, you may become even more confused learning by ear. It depends on what kind of system you adopt. So, for example, some teachers they teach learning by ear using something called the solfege system. So do re mi.
Yeah.
I think quite a lot of people, especially of the older generation, would have heard of this system. Okay, so this system itself has at least two different ways of teaching, and these two different ways are totally used in different manners. So for I think teachers will probably know this. There's something called the fixed do, where do re mi, the do is always the letter C, and there's another thing called the movable do system, where do is just the first note of whichever key you're in. So if you're in a key of G, the letter G is do. So it's a different language altogether. So I won't go into the details of solfege, but just learning by ear alone, you have to connect a lot with inside your head. Your teachers will have to really understand what is going on in here. And the challenge is that the student, at least from what I find, I've been experimenting with playing by ear and oral skills quite a lot for the past 2 years. And from what I find is that it's so important to understand what's going on inside, because they can give you a look like they understand what you're saying, but whatever's in here, right, they are hearing it wrong. Like they are hearing wrong in a sense that, like, if you ask them to sing a C, like let's say a do, then you ask them, can you hear this? They probably okay, but in their mind it's like, oh, do is like a different pitch altogether.
Okay.
Right? So if you are trying to train by ear, you got to train your students to be accurate. And if you can't hear what they're thinking, if they're not expressing it out, if you don't get them to sing it out back to you, that's where you run into some problems. That's the challenge of learning by ear.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. So this is a really good explanation of playing by ear and playing by nose. So thank you so much. So those of you who are watching, if you are thinking about playing by ear, or you have always thought about, because playing by ear is easier, all this, I believe that Marc give you quite a clear explanation. If you love it, you love what he shared right now, you can give it some love, some thumbs up. If you have any questions about playing by ear and other questions related to what he has shared so far, just key in the questions over here in the chat box, and later on we will come back and address your questions. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so you have covered step 4 already. So what's this next step?
Okay, well, I still see a lot of people in the chat, so thank you for surviving with me. I'm so glad you are still up and spending your late night Friday Pakto time with me. So big thank you for that. We're almost there, left 2 more steps. So step 5, I think this is the one that a lot of people want to understand. And it's very clear, so you can see. This is a table, okay, of the pros and cons between exams versus leisure. So the green, the words in green are the advantages, and the words in red are the disadvantages, right? There's 1 point in black. I will talk about that later. Okay, so let me just go through this step by step. So exams, going back to exams, the good thing about exams is that the syllabus is structured. I agree that as a teacher, the exams are designed in such a way that they train the different aspects of music, technical, musical aspects of music that is very needed as beginner and intermediate and even high-level players. The grading system is good, okay? And whatever they test, the different components are great. It's not there for fun, okay? It's essential. As opposed to leisure, okay, the good thing about leisure is that the lessons can be very customized to your needs, okay, as to what songs you want to learn, okay. But however, the songs may not be, the lessons may not be very structured or rigid as compared to exams. So I have if you can see my mouse, I have a question mark here, because this is a very contentious argument, because some teachers may disagree with me, because they have very structured leisure lessons. So I'm not gonna fight that. I also agree with that. So it may not be structured depending on teachers. So if it's not as structured as examinations are, it may not be good for learners who love the rigidity and regularity of lessons. So that's for structure. Okay, for next point, exams consist of a compulsory fundamental training. So your skills, oral, sight reading is all in. You have no choice. You sign up for an exam, you better do well. Okay, you have to learn it. Okay, however, for leisure, fundamental training, whether it's there or not, it really depends on many factors. Okay, it depends on teacher. It also depends on student, or maybe sometimes it may depend on parents who want to dictate what their child learns. So I left it in black because I don't know how other teachers would teach leisure students, whether they teach skills and oral and sight reading as well. Okay, so I personally believe that it's important, but sometimes teachers may not do it because they are focused on other things. Sometimes students only want to learn the songs. Like when I told you just now, I had a student who only wanted to learn one song. So that's it really depends. Okay, so the next point, For exams, if you decide to go the exam route, it's a very surefire and good way to track your own progress. Okay, so you have something to strive towards too. You can aim for your distinction, your merit, okay, and you work towards it. Okay, the breakdown is all there, the exam syllabus is all there, okay, and your teacher has a job to do, get you to that, to get you the paper you want. On the other hand, for leisure, the good thing is that you probably start off getting to learn your song of choice. Okay, that's a very good motivation for you because you already come in learning music with what you want to do. So that's great, right? Okay, but the negative aspect of it is there's a chance, like what Marc has pointed out just now, that your song choice may be way too difficult for you. You just don't know. Okay, I've dealt with, I've had experience with one student with the song too difficult. And
what song is that? You want to share?
I can't remember the title, but it was one of the Jay Chou's Chinese songs.
Okay.
The thing, okay, I was placed in a strange position because my student wanted to learn the song. She gave me a score and she told me she wanted to learn note for note, like she wanted to play this score. So, but she hadn't really learned how to sight read well, only about maybe grade 1 level, and I would say the song was at least grade 5, if I were to put numbers to it. Yeah, so it was tough, and for me to switch and tell her, okay, let's just throw the score away and then I teach you how to play it by ear. You know, if I do that, it disrupts the lesson in such a way that I'm totally teaching in a different language, like what I mentioned in the previous slide. So it was a tough decision, but eventually I explained it to her, and you know, she understood and she decided to try find an easier version of the song. Okay, because most of the time, my students, I don't know what about most of you leisure learners out there who are listening to this, but most of my students actually come in with a score at hand already. I want to learn this song, so they give me. And this song is almost all the time, it's found online. So like online, so from some random website that's, I don't know from where. So sometimes it's just too difficult, or sometimes it's so easy, and then they tell me it doesn't sound right. You know, and sometimes it's also the arrangement is terrible. Whoever arranged it did a bad job. So like the note groupings are all off. The bar line got a lot of typos. Bar line is all over the place. So it's a challenges now that we have the internet at our disposal. Okay, so yeah, that's but it's another topic altogether. Okay, so moving on. For the last point, this is something that I'm extremely critical of with regards to exams. I personally don't like exams such that the exam only trains 3 pieces. So there's a very narrow repertoire exposure. So imagine learners will typically take about a year, some maybe less, to prepare for an exam. So imagine you spend 1 year learning 3 pieces and then that's it. And once you're done with the exam, you throw it away and you go for the next 3 pieces. You know, it doesn't actually make you very versatile in repertoire. You're just exposed to requirements and that's it. Okay, so I don't like exams in that regard. But on the flip side, people can argue that, oh, you can just spend more time teaching other songs as well on top of exams, which yes, I do. Okay, but if I spend a lot of time on exams, there's less time for other things. So at the end of the day, it's what students want. So there's a time constraint. Okay, so the second point, the last point there, may be tough to learn more than exam pieces. There may be very little time to learn extra stuff. Depends. Okay, so on the flip side, for leisure, there's more time to learn a wider range of things. You can learn whatever you want. It's a free for all. It's a free for all game. Okay, the teacher can switch from pop. You can go even into jazz. Teacher can teach you how to improv, do lead sheets, play around with transpositions, turn a score into a different key. Now there's so many things you can play around with in leisure. It's just a matter of what you want or whether you want your teacher to challenge you. So I see that as an interesting thing. It's not it's not the same goal as an exam, but it's still a very creative learning skill to have. Improv is actually very important as well.
Okay.
Right. So that's
I have a question for you. A question for you. So
yeah.
you mentioned about this about the time frame, right? Because if you are going for exams, then somehow your time is limited, and that's correct. Because as a teacher myself, I can feel that if you want the student to do really well for exams, you really want to commit more time to make sure the exam songs are playing really well. And on the other hand, okay, you also want to introduce different genre of music to your student to make them more well-rounded. Am I right or not? You don't want
Yes.
to you because you yourself as a teacher, you don't want to really just the three songs okay? Even though the three songs are not really important. So now let me just ask you, is there a way to really merge everything together? That means they can learn their three songs and still have a chance to really explore other things. Or let's say there's a request by a parent to want you to do this for their child to do really well for exam, and then also over the years they also learn other genre of music. How will you like structure your lessons in a way that everything can be covered?
It's not my structure, honestly, right? If you want this to happen, right, I can only tell my student practice because if you practice, you run through everything faster. If you're good in scales, you come in with scales perfect. I don't have much to say, we just go on. If your sight reading is good, chances are it's not, so let's forget about that. If your oral is good, then we don't have much to say. If your exam pieces are good, if you practice them, then we can spend just a bit of time working on more advanced things for you to learn. And on top of that, you get time to play other pieces. But obviously that is a very idealistic goal to work towards that every music teacher wants. So I have no structure behind it. I have no other answer except practice. Practice smart. Practice in a way that works. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got to listen to your teacher. So I'm sure most teachers will say it's like practicing is not all about just doing it like 20 times. If you're doing it 20 times wrongly, then you are just getting worse. That's it. It's that simple.
Seems like your answer to an ideal student is just practice. Am I right now? Practice. Once you practice, everything counting. Right now. You want to learn anything also can, in a way.
Yeah. So I mean, this becomes very personal already. I mean, like students may complain. I mean, obviously they have a life. I mean, the school, there's stress, there's family, there's so many things out there. But it's up to them to manage their time. That's it.
Wow, seems like practice is a very big topic itself. Maybe you can come back again.
We can talk about this another time. It's a very, very big topic on its own.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I see that there are some comments coming. They say that yes, practice. I agree. Yes, practice. Yes. Okay, I believe there are also piano teachers Okay, I can say that. Okay. Why I say so? Because I believe all teachers want their students to practice well. Okay, but again, if all of us are students before, we all learn before, so we know that practice is not something nice that we want to do. It's not like I wake up, I own self motivated to walk to the piano to practice like that. Okay, but if you practice well, of course, I think the teacher will sure love you and then let you learn whatever you want. All right, but let's just keep this topic for a future one. Okay, now let's move on to the last step.
Okay, so last one. This last slide is the most important one of them all, step 6. Now that you know the differences between exam and leisure, okay, the last thing for you to know is know what you're in this for. Okay, so I speak of this whether you are a student learning music or you are a parent wanting your student to learn music. This is for you as well. If your target, if you want to take exams as a motivation, you want to take exams because you want to set a bar for yourself or for your child, I think it's great. Okay, it's not bad. You can go ahead, but don't ever lose sight of the fact. Don't ever lose sight that with getting grades just for the sake of getting grades. You're not training yourself to get grades. You get grades. That's it. That's not the end in music. That's actually a very short-term goal. Okay, so I think a lot of us, in this day and age, we want our qualifications fast, and we want a lot of things fast. We don't have time for anything. So there is always a temptation to want to just, let's just get this paper over and done with. Or especially towards the end, you're getting so sick and tired of playing at 3 pieces. You just want to get the grade for the grade. Don't forget, like, there's always something to learn in any piece. Okay, it's not just for the sake of it, right? So you chasing a grade, okay, achieving higher grades, grade 7, grade 8 diploma, it doesn't make you a better musician. At the end of it, you're just going to come out and ask yourself, so what am I now? Can I just play on my own? Can I just come up with something off the bat like that? If some of you may realize, actually, at the end of it, you realize you still can't, you finish your exams and you still can't play, and you feel like you can't play anything. That's because of like what I argued in the previous slide. There isn't very much repertoire exposure. So, like I said, higher grades don't make better musicians. Music does. Okay, so the next most common thing that I've come up with is some of you, maybe parents. I would think parents might think that having a higher grade would guarantee your child a better school entry, in CCA, band, choir, dance, or maybe you want to sign up for O-level music, okay, or even to audition for NAFA. Okay, granted, years ago this was a thing. Okay, when I used to be teaching in MOE, this was a thing. But just big news for you, lately MOE and NAFA, they have moved away from graded prerequisites. That means the entry for signing up for O-level music is no longer a grade 4. Okay, so if some of you may still have the impression, just to let you know, things have changed. Okay, because the government, Ministry of Education, NAFA included, and all the other music institutions, they are recognizing that paper is not everything. Okay, paper doesn't guarantee that your kid is a good player. Back to the previous point, right? So institutions know this. Okay, so they have moved away from this, and right now what they go for is playing experience. So how do they gauge playing experience? Basically, the entry is just audition, simple, or an interview. So your student, all students come in with the same set of audition requirements. That's it. So graded students don't get an advantage anymore. Okay, so this is an important point for those of you who think that school entry is better with higher grades. So I'm sorry to shoot your shot down. There's a change now. Things have changed in the music scene, right? Okay. And the last point, if you think that you are in this because of bragging rights, you want to get your grade 8 because you can howl into people, or you think you go with the mantra, if you got cert, got shook, all I can say in the most Singaporean way possible, no use one. Okay, so a cert is very nice to work towards, because once you feel that you have gotten your distinction, your merit, it's a nice feeling. Everybody likes that. Okay, but it does very little in getting you to places. Okay, similar to the previous point, it doesn't bring you to institutions. It doesn't bring you into your higher institution or degree learning. Okay, having grades doesn't guarantee you a spot. Even for me, like when I auditioned to go for the master's program, they asked for whatever qualifications I have and attach anything. So naturally, Singaporean mentality, upload all the different kind of certs I have, submit all to them. By the end of it, I don't even think that the schools look at them, because in the US they don't even know what exams are. They're not familiar with ABRSM. They don't know what ABRSM is. They don't know what Trinity is. So not just US. Everywhere you go, even in Singapore, NAFA, Yongsuito. Now the way to go in is through auditions. It's no longer through certs. Okay, yeah, having a cert could be a plus point, but that's about it. You don't really, it doesn't guarantee you a spot. All right. So the last point, if you are in this for bragging rights, you are very likely to look back at the end of this, and then you realize this bragging rights was extremely expensive, and it cost more money just rather than bragging satisfaction, right? So just one thing to think about, like you have everybody. There's so many people who learn music. Okay, so what if you have grade 8? Someone's gonna have a higher grade than you. You know, so if you're in this for bragging satisfaction, like you're just gonna be disappointed that someone's better than you. So it's not about comparing yourself with somebody. Right? So these are the three main points I generally feel that students may have or parents may have. So it's something to really consider. This is what you should think about very carefully, why you want to go the exam route. Okay, so
for yourself, right, you also have a master's, right? Master's in music. So you say got cert, got show. So for yourself, you show or not?
right now, to be right honest with you, no, not really. I mean, I feel shocked because I finished the program and I succeeded in completing it without failing anything. So it was great. But the cert doesn't really mean very much to me. It's just something that I'm happy that I achieved after putting a lot of effort into it. It's more of a personal target setting that I set for myself.
That's good. From what I learned from you about this portion about certification and so on, I think that it's good that when you get a cert, it's not something to compare, to show off. I believe Singaporeans, we want to compare, like, your child versus their child, you versus another student. See, then somehow if you achieve faster than them, you feel shocked. I believe everyone's like that. Okay, but
Yeah.
what Marc mentioned is there's always someone who is ahead of you, just that you don't know only. So it's instead of just saying, oh, you're grade 8, within how many years old, or you're diploma within how many years old, instead of having this mentality, if you have a better mentality that, oh, I achieved this already, what else can I work on? How do I become a better musician than just having more certs? I believe that will be more helpful, right? Having this kind of good mindset.
I mean, what is better than having more certs? Having more music.
More music, learn more, play more, get more.
If you're truly interested in playing, you just play. You won't be so hard up about trying to get a cert, right? So
Yes.
it's all in the mindset. I'm not saying that competition is bad. Yes, all of us we like to compare ourselves with others because we like to set a certain goal. We like to have that friendly competition. But at the end of it, this is art. Okay, music is art. You can't pit yourself against somebody. Just because. That's what are you measuring against? If I were to ask you, I mean, the audience in general, just think about this. If you are somebody who might feel, oh, I actually like to compete against my friend. My friend is now grade 5. I'm also grade 5. I want to see how much better I score than him. But the marks doesn't really matter, and to me, and what matters is how you sound as a musician. I think one just to take an example for one piece, you can have two people playing the same piece, but no, it is humanly impossible for these two people to play it exactly the same way. One of the players is likely going to have strengths, while the other is also going to have strengths, but in different areas. The important thing about music to me is sound, not even like getting a note right. It's how whether you sound nice. Okay, whether depending on what instrument you're in, even if you're not from piano, you're on flute, if you're on violin, you're on choir. I think it's more obvious in other instruments. Piano, not so much. So I'm here to burst the bubble and say that tone is important, and good tone, and bad tone exist on a piano. Okay, you press a note down, doesn't mean you just get a nice sounding note. You can press a note down and contextually with the other notes, it doesn't sound good. So there's such thing as sounding good on a piano, even though you're getting your notes right. And there's such a thing as sounding bad on a piano, even though you're getting notes right too.
Wow. Wow, very good, very good. Whatever you share now, I think a bit high level already, a bit advanced level. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
That's
kind
good.
of.
I believe if anyone want to find out more about what good tone, bad tone, how you press, maybe this one really need to sit beside you, and then you really go and see how they play. Then can really feel how they are playing is lah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Wow.
what teachers do.
Awesome. Okay. Wow. Thank you for a lot of comments or questions here. Any questions for Marc? Just key in below. So we have come to the end of the 6 steps. So we are really very clear. I hope that you learn something that about exams or leisure part. But don't worry, whatever slides we are put on here, we will be sharing out with you. So how you share out is very simply, you join the Happy Pianist Telegram chat. You join in, then we will upload the slides over to the Telegram chat. Then you can download over there. Okay. So this is a 6 part that we are not end yet, because I believe there are many questions left in by the participants of the audience. Okay, Marc, let me choose one question. I believe a few of them have asked this question. Okay, how do you practice effectively? By Apple, about practicing. Just now you mentioned about practice. Okay, so this practice. So maybe
correct.
instead of
Apple,
answering, I know it's a very big topic, but you try to summarize your answer.
Okay, it's honestly, it's there's enough to talk. There's enough content to talk about to lead on another Facebook Live video for another day. But in essence, how to practice correctly is, let me think how to make this as simple as possible. If you make a mistake, right, know what the mistake is. So if you hello, can you hear me? Yeah. So if you make a mistake during your playing, know and remember what that mistake is. So very simply put, you play a piece, let's say it's 2 minutes long. Somewhere in the piece you have a wrong note. At the end of the piece, right, will you remember where that wrong note is? Or will you just generally think, yeah, that's not nice, let's try again, let's run it again. And then you make a mistake somewhere, you forget where it is, and then you think, that's not nice, let's try it again. That's just practicing blindly. You're just repeating, hoping that it will sound better. But if you can play in such a way that you remember where the mistakes happened, then you are one step ahead from practicing smart. To practicing smart, I mean. So know what mistakes you make. So what does this translate to? If you feel that you play your 2-minute piece, you play something wrong, and then you know, right, that if you play to the end, you'll forget where the mistake is, then why must you play to the end? You can just stop there, correct it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, make sure it doesn't appear again, and you continue. It's as simple as that. Why so many of us, myself included,
that means when you practice,
I would agree that I face the same challenges as well on different levels. So it's very tempting because all of us love to play music. We want to play stuff that we like, that we like for it to sound right. We want it to sound nice, right? So we always are very tempted to just go into this and then just play through one round and feel happy about yourself. Okay, but if you don't feel happy about yourself, then you have to improve on it, right? But if you go into it with the expectation that I want to enjoy this during the practice, you're practicing, and then you go into this saying, I want to enjoy this. Chances are you'll just run through the song and then you run it again. So to practice smart, right, it's not necessarily you must enjoy the session. You can just spend like maybe 5 minutes figuring out the problem parts. Once it's done, then you can go on to something, or you can run the whole thing again. So it's very easy to, like I say, it's very easy to fall into the trap of like just running through your songs over and like from start to the end every time you open up the piano or you take out your instrument from the box. It's very tempting to just run the whole thing. I'm guilty of that at times. I think all of us, I think even teachers, I would dare say teachers watching this better own up. Okay, so it's you definitely feel that way at times because you want to enjoy what you're playing.
Yeah. Especially
But when
the hardest part lah. Yeah lah.
yes, so
You know
so
it's coming, and then you like, oh, okay. If can skip, you will want to skip one lah. This kind of thing. Okay, thanks for sharing on that. Okay, we have another question. So, should a child start on classical piano or pop piano? What would you recommend? So, for a child,
I would recommend listening to your child a little bit. Okay,
listening
but
to a child, but
doesn't mean
let's say the child is
doesn't
too
mean
young.
doesn't
No?
mean follow, like don't just submit to what your child says. Okay, but pay attention to what your child listens to. Pay attention to what you are playing on your radio or on your Spotify or your YouTube to your child. Take note what makes him or her tick. What makes him or her tap his or her feet? You know, what makes him or her happier? Okay, so that's the first thing you want to look out for. And at the same time, if let's say your child likes classical music, you can always start with classical, but do not ever neglect pop. I still think pop has its place in music education. It has a very important place in music education. We should not be leaving that out. And if your child is interested in one thing, it's good to start on that thing. But it doesn't mean that you cannot switch around. So, yeah, I feel that personally, if I could teach both to my students, I would. Ideally, if my student got practice, I will teach both. If let's say I'm teaching for exams, so I'll do classical and then we can do pop on the side. Because I find that teaching classical and pop is quite similar. The methods of teaching it is quite similar. If you teach pop the classical way by reading notes, then yes, it's quite similar. That's my stance on it.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, just a bit on this question. So let's say a child started on pop songs first. Let's say because I did see quite a few inquiries like because maybe the parents have gone through the exam route themselves and they don't really like the exam route. That means maybe their previous teacher has forced them to really play 3 songs a year, and they really give up some way lah. So when they want to bring up their child, they want to start correctly without having the trauma again. Not say trauma lah. The bad experience of going through exams every now and then. So let's say a child start from pop music. So along the years, are they able to come back to the exam route?
Of course, yes. It's I think, I mean, having been, if a child is so-called traumatized by a teacher, that's quite a sad thing lah. And I do have students who, most of them are adults already, but they tell me a similar story because their teacher used to be very fierce, or the teacher made them hate piano, or the teacher used to beat the hands. Funny stories, and it's quite sad. I mean, like but having them coming in and telling me, I want to try and learn again, but can you not be so fierce? I think it's a very good start, and of course it's possible. There is no, I don't believe that you're ever too old to learn music. Okay, there are some people who might argue and say that, it's good to start your kid as early as 3-4 years old, blah blah blah. I don't agree with that, but they might be saying something like that with the expectation that they want this child to become the next Lang Lang or the next Vladimir Horowitz. No, not me. I didn't start at 3. So it's, I think maybe because their expectation of ideal musician is that, so I can't argue with that. But there is no latest cutoff age to learn piano. So even if your child, let's say, has been traumatized by a teacher for some reason, it's fine. At the end of it, if they want to take a break off music, take a break off piano or the instrument, it's okay. Let them be. I don't think. I personally don't think it's right to force your children to continue learning if they've been bitten, unless you can find a way to convince them to be open-minded with a different teacher or a different way of learning, perhaps, or maybe learning through a different medium, even like of YouTube or something. Anything. There are many ways around this. But to answer your question about going back to exams, the only thing that you need is, I guess, the interest, the motivation. I think that is the best way to bring a learner back on track to learning music properly.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I believe you got his answer. Okay, so doesn't matter. So as long as your child is happy, I think, and he's motivated to learn, you can let him learn anything. Okay, that's a main point lah. All right,
But
so
also,
we have
just one more thing. Sorry to add on to that.
Sure.
I think your child happy is not the end goal also lah. Not all the time lah. Okay, like I think the ideal thing is that a child is exposed to many styles of music. Like if I had a kid who loves classical because he or she is a nerd like me, like I can't only just leave my child in the realm of classical. I want him or her to venture out, explore pop, explore J-pop, explore anime, explore Broadway, explore metal, I don't know, perhaps, hard rock, why not? At the end of the day, there's always something to learn out of any art form. And don't just leave it at that because a child wants only one thing, you give one thing. If you give your child a chocolate ice cream and your child only loves chocolate ice cream and never ever takes any other flavor, I think that's quite a sad thing, right? Then your child's gonna grow up regretting that, when I was young I never ate any other flavors. That's so sad. I don't know. I kind of see it as an analogy.
Yeah, that's good. But also, I believe sometimes, because if you want to know what is right for your child as well, maybe sometimes you can have a good discussion with your teacher. Because sometimes I know there's a saying say, you don't know what you don't know. So let's say in my world, I only know about chocolate. So to me, chocolate is the best already. Yeah. So sometimes if you have a discussion with your piano teacher or someone more experienced in the musical scene, so they may give you different perspective. Like Marc, you play whatever genre you know already. Yeah. So you can share different kind of perspective about different genre, and that will be helpful for a lot of parents lah. Okay, because I believe a lot of us lah. We only know music either exams or pop song. Pop song means the J Cho, the West Side kind of songs. But in fact, music is everything, a lot of things.
Maybe I can share something that is more for teachers and also for parents to understand this. What I came out of MOE, and MOE always wants to make a child appreciate music, no matter what music it is, even local Singaporean music as well. There was a big emphasis on it when I was teaching. So perhaps when we teach our repertoire, as much as we teachers we are very focused on our kids passing the exam, our kids getting their fundamentals right, we still need to remember that it's still as important to make our kids appreciate the music they're playing. Like we need to teach them what is there to appreciate. So just for example, the reason why I like classical music is because of the relationship between sounds and chords. The reason why I like pop is because of the lyrics and the melody itself. They're beautiful. It's what attracts me to pop music. Reason why I love Broadway is because of storylines and how the music sound accentuates that storyline. And I think as teachers, whatever music we're teaching, we should not ever forget to teach these things and keep the curiosity going in our kids or our learners, okay, child or adult alike. So if I were to teach, I'll just give an example. If I were to teach a child, let's say a J Cho song, I think it's good to highlight how J Chow uses some high points in his lyrics and what does he do with the notes in his piano part. How do they relate to each other? And how does he make his melody sound nice? How does he make? I mean, there are some parts that of J Cho music that is it brings people to tears. For example, there are some areas of it, maybe because of the lyrics, or is it because of there's a more underlying effect of the piano part. If we bring these kinds of things in our lesson to attention to our learners, this is what keeps them curious. It's what keeps them wanting to learn more. Rather than us just having to learn the notes. This note is wrong. This note is right. Get this right next week. Is sometimes, I know, because the nature of our craft can get repetitive, but we have to still remember things like that. It's important to keep that fire going in our learners.
That's good. Wow. I feel like today I'm also a student really, learning from you so much about teaching styles, teaching methods, and so on. Okay, so we are chatting here and there, and I realize the time is about 1 hour and 25 minutes already. Wow, thank you so much. So many of you, okay, they're staying with us for coming like 90 minutes on a Friday night. But doesn't matter. On normal days, Friday nights, right? I believe I will be outside. You'll be also outside, right? But today, or rather this period, all of us are at home. Okay, so it's good to have some viewpoints, some sharing. And so thank you so much, Marc. So if other people have a lot of questions, more questions about piano lessons and so, how can they reach out to you?
First thing, you can just visit me on my website. You can always contact me from there. If not, if you want a little personal touch, you can always drop me a message. This is my number. So likewise to Marc as well. So big thanks to you. What is on the screen here is both our website itself. If you want to know anything more about piano, organizing piano, you can contact any of us. And if you need a bit of time you want some private time to chat about a certain topic, I'd be very glad to share the time with you and talk about it. So yeah, I hope today's topic has been very informative. I know it's just a simple thing. It's an either or, exam or leisure, but there's actually a lot of thought that can be put into it, especially when you are thinking about someone's or your own future in music learning as well. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it.
So much.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our the Happy Pianist talk show. This is our first series, and I hope to bring out more piano teachers up on our talk show to share more points of views, share more perspective. So I hope if you love Marc sharing so far, you just type thank you or thank you Marc or you just type thank you Marc Both of us are similar names Okay, I'll give some love. That's why we know that you really love the show. Then we'll try to find more teachers, more topics to discuss. And if you like to know more about lessons of Marc, you just need to drop him a message as his contact number or visit his website. So right now it's about 10 p.m. I hope everyone have a good night. And I'll be back. If you love what we share, you just join the Telegram channel. When we go live again, I will notify you. Just come in and ask more questions and meet more teachers. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night. So Marc, come you say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks everyone so much. If you happen to have topics that maybe you want us to discuss more in detail, I know the whole practicing thing and learning pop versus classical this is just the surface. If you want us to talk more about it, just let us know personally, drop us a message, and we can organize something like that again. And this is our first time holding a live video, the two of us.
Yes.
And thank you so much for the great response, and we would love to do one again. So
okay, good.
Thanks.
So to build on Marc's point, if you have any questions or any big topics you want us to discuss, let's say I don't know, or let's say Marc also don't know, doesn't matter. We will get somebody on board. Maybe Marc will find his teacher from USA, I don't know. Okay, we will do something. Right now, everything online, right? Maybe your US professor is need to wake up at like 7 a.m. to share.
Maybe
Okay, any topic you want to learn, just comment below. We'll come back to the chat and go and explore the topics again and then to find the answers for you. All right, so that's all. Hope you have a good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us. See you around soon.